Hey guys, so we're just going to go through a beginner kind of body weight workout today. We're going to show a little bit more advanced forms, still being beginner in nature, and we're going to show some modified forms. So whether you're at the very beginning, coming off of injuries, or maybe you're kind of starting out, you have a good base, and you want to make it a little bit more challenging, we have both options for you. We're going to start with our basic push-up. So we're going to come down, and we're going to be in our push-up position. So our just a little bit outside of shoulder width. We're going to keep our core tight, and we're going to come down like so. Elbows are coming out at 45. We're going to come all the way down to our chest hits the ground, and we're going to exhale and push up. When we push up, we're not locking out like so, so always a slight bend in those elbows, right? So coming down nice and easy, touch, pushing up. You should get a good contraction in the chest. If that's too hard for you, we can do the modified push-ups. Modified push-ups are going to be exactly how the regular ones work, except we're going to come down to our knees. If you're in your push-up position, you can drop to the knees, either keep your feet like so, or you can cross them as well. I'm just going to let mine hang, and we're going to do that same thing where we come down like so. Right? So there's your modified. If that's still too hard, then we can start and we can do a negative push-up. So we're going to kind of have one knee underneath us. We're going to throw one leg back, then we're going to stabilize, and we're going to throw that supported leg back, and then we're just going to come down. We're not going to worry about the upper push. So we're going to throw that leg back, and then we're going to come down like so. We're going to kind of roll out the side like Spider-Man. We're going to bring that knee up. We're going to kind of push with that one hand and bring it back to center. We're going to reset, legs going back, knees in the center, holding it stable. We're all set, and we're coming back like so. Coming down, and that's it. That's our form. We just repeat until you hit the number that you want to hit. What I'd recommend, a good starting point, is just going for 5 repetitions. Whatever it is, whether it's negative, whether it's modified, or regular. If you're good with one, start with the hardest, and then work your way down in succession to the easier one. So maybe you can do regular push-ups, but maybe you can only do 5, you can do 10 or so. You do your 5, and then you go into modified for another 5, and then maybe you do 2 or 3 of negative. So your overall volume is more, and having those extra ones, even though they're easier, will help you to get more regular push-ups the next time you do it. So that's that. The other thing you can do for a chest movement or a push-up would be to use something like a TRX, where you're in a lot of control per se. And we'll explain that in a little bit more detail here in a moment. What I mean by that is that for a push-up, you can essentially do that motion standing up. So I'm not on the ground, right? It's very little resistance. So coming down, and you can actually get a little bit more range of motion, which means you're going to get a little bit more chest activity. So we're going out, and we're going in kind of a crescent shape. So pretty much the bands here are on the side of your neck, not rubbing up against you real crazy. They're just kind of there. We're coming back, elbows are going back, chest is coming forward, core is tight. Come down so you feel a good stretch in your chest, your shoulders. Exhale, pushing yourself back. And again, doing kind of that crescent moon shape with the hands. What I mean earlier by it not being as much control is that there is some variability, right? I have all this motion right here. So just be aware that you do want to go slow with this because you don't want to not have stability and do something like that where you could possibly lead into an injury. If you really feel unstable about it, or maybe you're coming off of like a shoulder surgery, go ahead and be fancy with it. Put that one leg out there, and you can have really good stability like that. So you're essentially just using your body weight push, but you always have that there. I can take my hands off, and I'm just standing up, right? So that leg is kind of like it's kind of like your safety wheels, right? Your training wheels for a bicycle. So you have that leg there. And I'll do this myself sometimes. Like I'll go through I'll go bench press all the way down to, those negative push-ups that we just did, and then I'll go into, something like this where I'm just trying to get a little bit more, but I'm using my leg to do it safely and get a little bit more out of it. So don't be afraid to modify it as needed. Give yourself as much support as you need, but don't cheat yourself at working harder and getting further, right? So that's a great one for your chest. Our secondary muscles are going to be our tricep. We're going to get a little bit core out of that, and it's just a good overall movement. You're also going to get a little bit of front deltoid in it. So kind of this muscle right in here. So we're going to move on to back. This is going to be kind of more like a whole body workout for a beginner. We're going to take it nice and slow. We're not really too worried about doing it cardiovascular. This is going to be more of our strength-oriented workout. So it can be anything that has a stationary bar. So if you got a bar in the basement, it's a really strong pipe or something like that, or you have again, just anything that is stable and is about mid-chest or lower will do fine. You can grab a tree branch if you have to, But the big thing is that it's stable and it's safe. With this, we're just going to kind of do a Frankenstein. We're going to put our hands straight out like so. In this case, it's actually going to be a nice connection to where the texture part on the bar is. So I'm going to use that to make sure I'm nice and equal with my movement. And then you decide how challenging you want it to be. We'll also do this in the T-Rex. I'll show you how you can make it easier. This is going to be the harder version. So in this case, I'm actually going to lower this. The closer you are to the ground, the harder it's going to be. It's actually too low. So about right there, about waist level is where you want it, right? So we're going to come underneath it. If you're using a Smith, just make sure that you're twisting it away from the unlocked position. You want to make sure that it's not going to detach on you. So we can start with our feet flat, right? And we're just going to pull ourselves up until we put our chest to the bar. To make that harder, we can put our feet out. So we'll perform the same way. The benefit to using a Smith machine, if you can, is going to be once you hit fatigue, we can then raise it up and continue. Because we're higher up, it's going to be a greater angle. It's not going to be as close to being flat, which means it's going to be easier, right? So we're here, and as you can see, I'm closer to being in a standing position than I was prior. So that way, it's going to be easier. You can go all the way if you want, until it's almost over your head, like so, right? And you're just kind of doing a negative portion. By this time, you should have started here and gone until you're fatigued. But again, you could be injured. It could be your first time. I don't know where you are on your journey, but this could also be a starting point just as easily as it could be a finishing point. Again, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where everybody else is. It matters where you are, right? So wherever your starting point is, take it, make it yours, and go for that next level. Next level fitness.
Haha.
So the other thing that we can do, another option, if you can't get to the gym, would be to have one of these guys. You don't necessarily have to have the TRX. This is the name brand. This is the Gucci of TRX suspension training. It's the OG, it's the original, all those kind of names. I got a simple $30, $35 one off of Amazon. Just make sure it's got a good rating, because you do want it to be safe, because you are going to put yourself in a position where you could be shooting out somewhere if it's not stable. So make sure it's stable. Kind of test it out, give it a good couple of yanks once you get everything mounted. In this case, it's something the gym's put together, and it's also the name brand. So I do know it's a good quality, and it's mounted into a giant, very strong beam. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm actually going to use the other one for a demonstration. So very much so like our bar, where it's going to be laying back, like so. I want to make sure these are even. So with this, all you got to do is raise it up. Pushing it up, and if you want to make it lower, just push this down, like so. And that way you can make it longer. T-Rex is pretty nice to make it simple. Just grab the yellow band and push up. And that way, it'll shorten. So in this case, we're good. It's equidistant. Make sure you have good spacing on your feet. And that will allow you to have good stability. If you're in close like this, you're gonna start running a little bit, right? So make sure you're nice and wide planted, and that will give you that stability. And we're just going to bring our wrist to our ribs, like so. We're going to try and squeeze our shoulder blades together. Okay. So, going up like so, squeeze the shoulder blades, coming back down. Good stretch, but do not let your body go like this. Everything from your shoulder to your ankles is nice and stiff. Over here, exhale, bring the shoulders out. Elbows are coming out at about a 30 or 45 degree angle. If you want to make it harder, step forward, and you'll be at a greater angle than you were prior. It's going to use more body weight. It's going to be harder. I encourage you to start at something that's about 5 or 6 repetitions before you feel like you can't go anymore. And then just, like I'm doing right now, kind of walk up in that easier position. Like so. Once you hit fatigue, or if you need to make it easier, pretty much just go into like a standing position, and you can go from there. You can start right here if you need to. Yeah? Just little movements like that. You get a little bit better, you make it a little bit harder. You just take one step at a time, literally. Easy? Okay. Take one more step. Half step. You don't have to do a full step. A little bit harder. Okay. I'm better at it. Take a half step. Like so. And you just keep going until you're all the way down here. Right? And you're coming up. Like so. So you have a ton of motion that you can go through. You have a big range. So find out where it's challenging. Do that for about 5 repetitions, and then stand up a little bit more. Do that for another 5 to 8. Stand up a little bit more. See if you can get 15. Always trying to keep it challenging and then make it a little bit easier so that you can keep it challenging. It's not in doing something easy that leads to growth and betterment. It's going through something hard, putting in that effort that leads to being a stronger version of yourself. Your body is not going to try and get stronger if you're doing something easy. It gets stronger when you give it a reason to get stronger. In this case, it's going to be a challenging exercise, but it's something challenging on your terms. And it gives so much back after you've done it compared to other things. Okay? So what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Take it one step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. Create that good habit. Do it consistently, even if it's only 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes at a time or a day. Build it up, and eventually get in that habit, and that 10 minutes turns into 15, into 20. Before you know it, you're doing a 45-minute workout. And you're like, holy cow, what just happened? And it's like, you just spent 12 weeks taking it one step at a time. You can always take one more step. You can always do one more rep. Even if you got to take a minute in between, you can always do one more. So don't count yourself out, because you're already in the game. Just show up and put in the work. I'll catch you guys in the next part. Let's go on. Hey guys, and we're back with the T-Rex, in fact. So, we're going to go into biceps and triceps. Your bicep is going to be a muscle that everybody always gives kind of the arm flex to, right? So, its essential movement is just bringing your wrists and your hands. Excuse my dirty hands. We had another workout. If you want to check that out, it's a spare tire fat loss. It's a more advanced workout, but it's definitely one that is kind of cool to check out, and you're welcome to see kind of what's down the road. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to do biceps on this. So its main function is to bring the wrist or the hand upwards. It's to do flexion, right? The muscle actually goes up and over and attaches onto your shoulder blade. So a fully flexed bicep is not just here, it's actually back here, like you're trying to scratch your back. So that's a fully flexed bicep. So that's what we're going to be doing in this movement. That way we're getting a fully flexed bicep, we're getting a full range of motion, a full range of benefits. So we're going to, I have these shortened all the way. Again, it depends. You just don't want to have them too low, because we do want to have a pretty good 45-degree angle. This is a very hard movement because you're using most of your body weight for it. So you're not going to be, almost laying on the ground, curling up. You do want to try and be more upright than not. So that said, I'm going to be more upright than not. I'm probably about a 45-degree angle right now, give or take. I'm going to bring my palms facing. And I'm going to keep everything stationary. I'm going to curl up. My hands are going just below, or just back behind my ears. Like I'm trying to, you always see the little kids, they're like, put your hand like this and you can hear the ocean, you make a little seashell. That's kind of what we're doing. Make a seashell and then curl it all the way back into a fist, and that way you're getting a fully flexed bicep. The lowering portion is actually going to do more for you than the upward portion. So we're here, and we're keeping our elbows pointed in the same parallel direction as the apparatus or the T-Rex. We're coming down, arms are straight, and they're almost at the point where your triceps, the back side of your arm, is being flexed. That way you know you've gone through that full range of motion. And we're curling up, back behind, like so. It's a very strict, stiff movement. We got the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, right? So very strict, like so. Next on the way up. And coming down. With all these movements, you scoot back, it's going to be easier. And if you bring your feet forward, it's going to be harder. Once you've done this, we're immediately going to go into the opposing side. It's always good to work one side and then the other side, the agonist and the antagonist muscle group. Because when one is being contracted, shortened, the other one is being lengthened or stretched. So it's a good synergy for working back to back like that. So we did one where we curl, we do one where we extend out. This one is a little bit harder because it does have more supporting muscles. It's not just the tricep. So start out higher than you kind of think you should, and then you can always work your way back. So we're going to have a nice kind of staggered stance, but we're going to have our feet behind our hips. Our arms are going to be outstretched like we're getting ready to do a swan dive. And we're keeping our core tight. We're keeping our shoulders tight. Because if we don't, we're going to fall forward, right? Everything's nice and stiff. And we're coming out. Once we're fully extended, everything stays where it is. And the only thing that moves is our forearms and our hands towards our head. It's a lot like throwing a soccer ball inbounds from like an out of bounds call, if you will. So we're here, we're coming back, hands back behind us. Like so, get a good stretch, and then we're going to push our body forward by bringing our hands back to that kind of nice straight position. So, bring our hands back, elbows are pointed forward as much as possible. They're back behind our head, and then we're straightening out. As we straighten out, we're exhaling. That core is tight the whole time. Down, good stretch. That stretch is going to be up near the armpit. And we're extending forward. So, with this one, a lot of people, including myself, you're going to be sore all the way up to here, which is great. You're getting a full work of the tricep. A lot of tricep exercises just going to kind of get the main part. So this is a really good one to get that full tricep muscle, and that way you're getting more stability. You're less likely to get injured. So this is a great way to build that foundation. It's also a great way to continue having that good stability. So it's also really good for athletes. So if you're somebody who's in or wanting to get into athletics, this is a great builder to really make sure that you have good symmetry throughout the tricep area. So we're going to move on to our next exercise. I'll catch you there. Okay, this next one is going to be for our side obliques. It's going to be more of a isometric exercise, meaning that we're not going to be having any movement, we're just kind of holding it in place. So we're going to do a modified version of this. We'll do the next level up and then the next level up. So make sure that you have your elbow underneath your shoulder, your wrist is out, and your palm is down for stability. We're going to have this hand here to kind of support it. And we can actually, just like that, we want to try and keep the thumbs lying through our body, like so. You don't need this hand, go ahead and put it here. The next level up from here, and all you're doing is holding it. We're not doing anything dynamic right now. Next level from here, put one leg out, other one's going to come up and over. That one's going to be flat. Okay? To make it a little bit harder, you can put your feet on top of each other. Your eyesight is looking straight out. You always want to keep your neck in a neutral position, no neck strain. To make it a little bit harder, we can dip down close to the ground, but not touching. And then coming up, and down. Bring your hand up. Again, I'm going from easy to hard. Next level will be hand off the ground. I don't have it with me, but you could get a weight, or you could get a weight this way and punch. So that would be your side plank. Modified side plank, punching side plank. A lot of options. Again, I went from easiest to hard, and we're trying to do whichever movement you pick for 30 to 60 seconds. I'm going to have a couple different formats down in the PDF below, and that way you can kind of go through these movements. I'll have it kind of the easy workouts, the next hardest until we're at the top. Once you've gotten through all those, you might be ready for the intermediate program. So again, easy to hard, and then, like I said, you might be ready for the intermediate. So our next one's going to be working the rectus abdominis, the main kind of six-pack, if you will. We're going to be in our regular plank position. Again, our elbow is going to be underneath our shoulder. That way we have good body mechanics. So we're going to have our feet back. We're going to be on the ball of our foot. We're going to have our hips parallel to the ground. We're going to bring our navel towards our spine. We're going to keep that core tight. Our eyes are essentially looking where our thumbs are. That way our head is in a nice neutral position. Keeping that core tight. If you want to make it harder, you can lift one leg off the ground, this leg off the ground. You go left arm, right leg, right arm, left leg, or up and down like so. Right. If you want to be really crazy with it, and this will be more of a foreshadowing, you can actually get a weight. You're going to get over, and you're going to get over. You can also start in this position, essentially a push-up position. That will be a little bit easier than if you had your hands down on the plank. A modified position would be on knees like this, keeping your body straight from your knees to your shoulders. So, next part would be coming down like so. You're going to put a little bit more weight in that core, but you're keeping your core nice and straight the entire time. From here, the next exercise we're going to do would be a crunch. So just bring our shoulder blades off the ground. Standard crunch is like you've seen 100 times. We're not going to do a full sit-up just yet. We're instead going to do a V-up after that. Right? We're coming up, shoulder blades off the ground, coming back down, coming back down. So you exhale, hold at the top for about 1 to 2 seconds. Back down. Back down. Once you've gotten good at that, we'll do our cannonball crunches. So, cannonball, it's like you're all stretched out. We're going to bring our knees in. We're going to keep our hands where they are. Up. We're going to tuck in like a cannonball. Don't hold yourself here, but in that position. Don't let your hands hit the ground. Don't let your hands hit your feet hit the ground. Don't let your hands hit the ground. Come back up. Like so. Once you've gotten good at that, you can knock out 20, 30 repetitions. We're going to do V-ups. Your V-ups are going to be where we have our hands all the way out, our feet are all the way out. And we're going to come up at the same time, reaching forward towards the ceiling. So, everything's going up. If you don't have a shirt on, you might make some sounds, but hey, it's all part of the game. You should be feeling good core contractions, both in the lower and the upper. So one of the best exercises you can do, body weight wise, if you do want to add some weight to it, you can hold something in your hands, or you could kind of squeeze something between your feet. That way you can make it a little bit more weighted. After that, you're more on to the intermediate program, where we can have a little bit more fun.
If you need help in those areas, I offer coaching services and I have a whole site dedicated to helping you in those areas as well.
Enjoy this circuit. If you have any questions, you can always comment below. You can always reach me on Instagram at David Miller Fitness, and you can always catch us on our weekly chats. Let me know what you guys think. If there's room for improvement, if you want to see some other options, and whatnot. So I'll catch you guys in the next video.